It's been many years since I started pursuing minimalism. I wanted to have less, I wanted to declutter, to feel more free, to have all the possibilities of not having so much stuff. But on the way on this journey, I realized that maybe what I was looking for wasn't even all the freedom to travel and live a spontaneous and exciting life, but maybe what I wanted was actually a simple life. I never thought I would enjoy staying home so much. I never thought that simple nature walks, always on the same paths again, would bring me so much joy. And I never thought that like simple routines, like going swimming during summer in the same lakes, spending time at home with books and TV shows, phone calls with friends, and just family time would be actually all I needed to be happy. And the first time I realized that maybe I actually really want to live a boring life, I got a little bit scared. And I think that is because I think my generation is told that all of us are special and individual and extraordinary. And so I thought my dream was to be a digital nomad, to travel around the world, and that this exciting life of always changing surroundings and lifestyle is actually what I want. And so when I realized that that might not be true, I also realized that maybe dreams I had in the past of traveling the world in a certain way will maybe never come true, because if I don't want it now, why should I do it? And it felt like I'm settling for something smaller, but I think that's also a misconception. On one hand, I think it's normal that dreams change. And so it's also very, very normal to declutter your dreams and to realize that maybe it's not what you wanted. And then on the other hand, I'm absolutely not settling for something smaller if I figure out a way to live happily. Because you can be miserable traveling the world, and you can be miserable staying at home, and maybe to other people it looks glamorous to do certain things, or you have this image in your head, your fantasy self of yourself, the person you want to be, you think you need to be, or you think would make you happy. But when you learn more about yourself and figure out the things that actually you enjoy doing and how you enjoy spending your time, then isn't it the wisest decision to follow these cues and not hold on to your past dreams of who you thought you needed to become in a time where you actually weren't happy? And I think I made peace with a lot of aspects of just liking boring everyday life, the life that I made for myself, that I can live here right now, that I'm very, very happy and grateful for. But a part of me is still questioning if I actually just really want the same things as all other people, like eating good food, getting enough rest, having friendships and family time, not being stressed, and I don't know, seeing a bit of beautiful nature. Is that really all there is? Like, is that really what we all want and I want it too, and that absolutely makes me happy? But then on the other hand, I think many people are unhappy with what they have. And if I am pretty happy with what I have, then there shouldn't be anything to complain about. And also, it's actually very, very similar when we talk about minimalism. Minimalism has been a huge part of my life during the past decade. And I think it still is, because I'm still living a fairly minimalist life. But during the past, I think it's been maybe 3 years now, I do not want to be an extreme minimalist anymore. I do not want to take minimalism to perfection. And the same goes for all the other aspects. I'm not like after perfection anymore. I'm after healthy balance. But that also means I'm not really pursuing minimalism anymore in the same way I did in the past. So it's not about having the smallest number. It's not about buying the smallest amount of things. It's not about having the perfect minimalist items. It's not about being absolutely strict with any minimalism rules or anything. And while that really, really feels good for me in my life, and I think most of us are this way, we are not actually after extremes. We are after being like a human being, imperfect, looking what's good for us, changing our minds if we need to change something, not actually sticking to crazy principles, but because a lot of minimalism happens on this channel, and I think about minimalism a lot for this YouTube channel, I also think it's kind of hard being this kind of washed down minimalist, because that's not what performs well on YouTube. And I think putting so much of my life out there and hearing your opinions and coming up with good video titles and topics, it feels like I actually should be extreme, should be extraordinary, and should have like all these crazy principles that I follow to make good videos. But I really, really do not want to live my life for the good video titles and for the clicks. And therefore, I'm just being this something in between. I'm living a minimalist life, but I'm also buying things sometimes. I'm sometimes decluttering, but that's not actually my goal with minimalism. Which also doesn't mean that I'm never going to declutter again, because it's the healthy balance and not the extremes. And I think you appreciate that, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think that is, for me at least, where most of the happiness actually lies, in being home a lot, but also going outside. Sometimes doing something new, but often doing things that I know I like. Sometimes going traveling, but not traveling all the time. And living a minimalist life, but not trying to declutter the biggest amount possible or anything like that. And I think the weirdest thing about this is that saying that I want to live a boring life and recognizing that, it feels almost like defeat or giving up or settling for something mediocre. But on the other hand, it's actually a great success, because that is what actually made me live content and happy days during the past years. And realizing that it's actually about the very, very small stuff makes happiness kind of seem so easy, and it just feels weird, because I think it is not the same as we are taught. We are often taught that the big achievements, that pushing yourself very, very hard is what's going to bring you happiness and feeling good about yourself. But it's oftentimes the very, very small things. And it's not even about the slow living and about these perfect little things. It's about building routines and recognizing what you like. And it's a small and gradual change. And I'm sitting here telling you about it, but I can't even really grasp it, because it's so gradual and it's so small, and it's actually very boring, but it brings me a lot of joy and happiness. I do want to add one thing here. I think it's very similar to how it is with minimalism when it comes to stuff. The less you need, the easier it is to be happy with what you have. And I think it's absolutely the same with how we spend our time. The less extraordinary we need our life to be, the easier it is to live it in a content and happy way. And that is kind of what I realized during the past years. I also do want to recognize that a lot of my contentment, of course, comes from being privileged, from being safe, from having enough money, from having a roof over my head, and just not very hard things that I'm going through right now in life. And I want to say this to also say that I do not believe that happiness is just found inside of your life, and that it's always just about your attitude and perspective on the world. No, I do think it's both sides. Of course, you can learn to be more content with the life you have, but also I think it's very important what the kind of life is that you have to actually be content, because our life definitely consists of our inner and outer world. So I do not think we should just focus on one aspect and think the other is not important. But while I live this very ordinary and boring life, and it makes me very, very happy, I think there's one crucial aspect that should never be forgotten, and that is that novelty is important. I do think we kind of need to learn new things, see new things, taste new things, hear and smell new things, have certain new experiences to live a fulfilled life. At least that's true for myself. But that does not mean that we need to fly to another continent. That does not mean that we have to move and change our whole life around every 6 months. It just means something new. It can be a new route on our walk, it can be a new haircut, it can be a new dish, and it can be a new book you read or a new conversation topic. But it's also true that with all the novelty that is important, I did also realize, and I think that's kind of my newest discovery, that coming home is really as exciting as going away. And saying this feels so weird because in the past I've just wanted to be away and exploring and seeing new things and traveling all the time and not come home again. But I'm very, very grateful for it because I think it's important to see that our life is lived in the everyday. We are not doing extraordinary stuff every single day. And so I think it's beautiful if we somehow manage to enjoy our routines, to enjoy our everyday life, because that is what most of our life will consist of in the end. I do hope you're having a good day today with moments of joy and gratitude. And I do also want to link a video here that you can check out if you want. I also want to say thank you to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon and to all of you who have just watched until now, because that really also means a lot and helps me out a lot on this YouTube channel here. So I hope to see you there or in my next video. Goodbye.